Catching fish with a rod is the most traditional method of fishing.
It's pretty basic, everyone does that.
But in this episode, we're going to test the strangest, craziest, and even dumbest fishing methods out there. We'll find out which method can land a real trophy and which one will only earn you judgment from other anglers. Our weird fishing journey starts early in the morning, packing our gear and choosing a spot. The other day, I came across an ad on Instagram for an app that shows fishing locations, how active the fish are, and what species you can find there. I fell for the ad and installed it. Inside, you can see the weather and even a bite forecast. We picked a nearby spot and headed out. After about an hour on the road, we reached the bank of a wide, beautiful river. I noticed a massive fallen tree here. Judging by the charred wood, it was struck by lightning.
How the weather is wonderful today.
Looking at the rod holders along the shore, there are definitely fish here, but I wouldn't rely too much on that app's bite forecast. The weather changes constantly, and predicting fish activity weeks in advance is basically impossible. This app is like those old fishing calendars. It mostly affects your expectations. The fishing app gets a 5 out of 10 on the stupidity scale. At the very least, it brought us to a new spot. Now let's set up and start fishing. In my backpack, besides regular lures, there's also a mousetrap. I brought it because I saw a guy on Instagram catch a fish with one. It looks like complete nonsense, but is it really? Let's find out. We take a rod, cut off the hook, and tie a mousetrap instead. That's it. The rig is ready. Let's go to the water. For bait, we'll use a worm. We attach it where the cheese normally goes. Arm the trap. First cast. The weight of the mousetrap instantly drags the float underwater. How do you even tell there's a bite? Honestly, no idea. We'll just wait a bit and reel it in. About 15 minutes later, the trap's been sitting on the bottom. Let's see if anything got caught. And yep, there's the worm, untouched. I decided to chum the spot and cast again. This time, while waiting, a fish did approach the trap, but it was tiny. Not much luck so far, but let's try again. On the third attempt, the chum finally kicked in and pulled fish closer to the rig. There was even one trigger, but it was false. Most likely the current set the trap off because once again, nothing was there. We figured the problem was the trap itself and went to a supermarket where we found 2 more types. But once we put them in the water, we didn't get a rig. We got a flotation device. This method is complete garbage, and here's why. Look, even if a fish is right under the bar, it'll most likely escape. Just look how much slower the trap triggers underwater compared to on land. This method is absolutely dumb and doesn't work. It gets the maximum score for that. Hey guys, we're filming a fishing video here, not badminton. Let's cut it out. Although, we could combine the two, just like a guy did in this clip. He turned a badminton racket into a fishing rod and actually caught fish with it. It looks completely insane. Let's see if it works, or if we just ruin a racket. We take a reel and zip tie it to the handle. Trim the excess. Then we grab a rod guide from the bag and attach it just below the strings. Run the line through the guide, tie a leader to the end and rig a soft plastic lure on the hook. Put it on and the racket rod is ready. Casting is done by swinging, but the hook kept snagging the strings. We rigged the lure differently to hide the hook and it worked. Problem solved. Let's fish! From the outside, it looks ridiculous, but everything actually works. The lure moves in the water just fine. The weird casting technique and total lack of sensitivity make it even funnier. Let's try to catch something. I walked along the shoreline, constantly recasting. When on one of the casts, I felt resistance.
I feel like I'm dragging a branch.
Turns out, a small fish had greedily taken the hook. I can't believe it. I caught a fish on a badminton racket. On another cast, I hooked this unusual fish. First time seeing one like this. If you know what it's called, drop it in the comments. So yeah, the racket method works. We could already rate it, but what's the point? Maybe it casts farther than a spinning rod. Let's check. The spinning rod cast almost 3 times farther, and the sensitivity here is basically 0. Not sure how useful it is, but on the stupidity scale, it gets 4 out of 10. You can catch fish with it. The next unusual method is inside this black package. Let's unbox it. Inside was a decent-looking slingshot and a bunch of extras. Let's take everything out and see what we got. This is a fishing slingshot kit. We saw that you can catch fish with it. There's also a band for shooting stones, but we don't need that. Let's attach the fishing one. When you pull it back, it creates solid tension. This sharp dart hooks onto it, but first it needs to be tied to the reel. The reel goes on your wrist and the slingshot is ready for fishing. It shoots pretty hard. Let's test it on fruit, starting with a soft apple. Aim. Shoot. The dart goes straight through the flesh and thanks to its barbs holds onto the apple. What about a tougher orange? No problem, it pierces right through, but can it handle a hard pineapple shot? And yes, it penetrates the tough skin. That means fish shouldn't be a problem. Let's put on rubber boots and go hunting. Looking closely at the water, we can see the reflection of the sky. That's where polarized glasses come in. They remove glare and let you see the bottom clearly. They work just like the polarizing filter on our camera. I walked along the shallow water where fish often feed or warm up in the sun, but all I saw were ones smaller than the dart. Then I spotted a palm-sized fish. I aimed. Shot and missed. The issue isn't the slingshot, it's refraction. Water bends light, so what looks like it's right in front of you is actually somewhere else. That's why hitting fish with a slingshot isn't easy. The method is tricky, but with practice, you can catch fish this way. It gets 3 out of 10 on the stupidity scale. The next fishing method traveled all the way from Japan, and it's inside this long package. We'll test it on a beautiful forest lake, since it's mostly used in still waters. This is a Japanese Herabuna rod. I saw a video where a guy pulled out a big fish using a super thin rod and a strange dough bait. Let's see how effective it is. Inside the box, the rod in a case, a stand, a float rig, a mixing container, and ingredients for the dough. Pretty generous kit. Cost was $100, which is quite affordable in my opinion. Fishing with Herabuna starts with making the dough. We use the measuring containers from the kit. Open the packet. Smells really weird. The mix is 75% base and 25% gluten. Add it together. Close the lid and mix the dry ingredients first. Then scoop some lake water and gradually add it. Mixing by hand until it reaches a soft clay-like consistency. The dough needs to rest before fishing. By the way, look how it stained my fingers. Meanwhile, I'll set up the rod. It's styled like bamboo, decorated with hieroglyphs. Length is 6.3 meters, which is quite long, but it's still lightweight and comfortable. Unwind the rig and attach it to the connector. Set the float and adjust depth. If the float sinks after casting, increase the depth until it sits properly above water. Place the stand, take the dough, it's ready. You can put it on the hook the traditional way, or press the hook into the dough and pull the line, and the right amount sticks automatically. Cast and wait. After a few minutes, the float suddenly dips, hook set, and there's something on. The rod absorbs the load really well and handles the fish effortlessly. First impressions are great, but for fairness, we compared it to a regular float rod. Cast, and the battle begins. After an hour, Herabuna started strong. Then the regular rod caught up. Final score, 4-3 in favor of Herabuna. The method definitely works, but I wouldn't say it's way better than the classic. Its main advantages are sensitivity and lightweight. It gets 0 out of 10 on the stupidity scale. The next method, where do you think it is? In my pocket? Too obvious. It's behind my ear, and it's the smallest fishing rod in the world, less than 15 centimeters long. I saw a TikTok where a guy caught a real fish with one, and I had to test it. But But without some modifications, it won't work. It's basically a toy. We spool real fishing line onto the reel. From a float tip and a piece of toothpick, I made the smallest float in the world. Attach it to the line, then add a tiny weight and a hook. That's it. Now we can actually try to catch something. Bait the hook and cast. Yeah, nothing's biting at our feet, so we moved onto a pier. Better depth here, better chances. I sat, watched the float, and there's the first bite. Waited longer. Almost immediately, a bite and fish on. Almost the same size as the rod.
I thought it was a real trophy.
You can't cast far. The reel is inconvenient, it's not very functional, and you shouldn't leave it unattended. But the main advantage, it fits anywhere, even in a sock, and is always with you. Great for scouting a new spot during a walk, just to check if there's fish at all. But the biggest drawback, it's only good for tiny fish.
This fishing rod won't be able to handle any big fish.
Still, it's a fun gadget. Makes a great gift for a fishing buddy. It gets 4 out of 10 on the stupidity scale. Guys from India have been setting trends lately, launching bicycle wheels into space, catching fish with bottles. The second one interests me more. In the video, a guy adds something white into a cut bottle, throws it in, and pulls fish out one after another. Let's see if it works. We take a bottle and cut off the bottom. Heat up an awl and make a couple of holes. Attach some weights with fishing line. Then tie a loop to connect the main line. The Indian fish trap is ready. Looks pretty similar. In the video, he casts by hand, but we upgraded it with a stronger rod that could probably tow a car. Tie the trap to the line. From the comments, we learned the bait is just regular flour. Add some water into the bottle, a couple spoons of flour, shake it so it coats the walls. Cast it out. It flies pretty far. After a few minutes, I reeled it in. Nothing but water. Cast again. Underwater, the flour creates clouds that attract small fish instantly. I tried everything, waiting, quick retrieves, but nothing worked. Just scooped a few liters of lake water. The trap attracts fish, but doesn't hold them. If you want to fish with a bottle, use a proper trap like this one. It's been proven for years and works great for small fish. The Indian version is either fake or only works in India. On our scale, it gets 8 out of 10. Fishing boats aren't new, and there's nothing weird about them. But I saw a video where a regular RC boat was used to fully replace a fishing rod. Let's test it. I bought this RC boat, took a ready float rig and tied it to the boat. Bait the hook with a worm, and let's go fishing. The boat easily carries the rig anywhere, even to the middle of the lake or the opposite bank. No need to cast at all.
This fishing method is definitely for lazy people.
Parked it near the reeds, where fish usually are. While waiting, one downside showed up immediately. Waves kept pushing the boat, so I had to constantly steer, which likely scared fish away. Then suddenly, the float disappeared from view. Full throttle, back to shore. Feels like something's on. Using the boat, I caught this fish, which means it works. It's a very absurd method, but effective. After all, the rig is standard. The boat just replaces the rod and reel. Downsides, constant steering. Current makes it unusable in rivers, and if a big fish bites, say 3 kilograms, the boat probably won't handle it. Or worse, it'll get pulled under. Still, it works. It gets 5 out of 10. Next up, another remote-controlled method, a drone. In videos, people tie a rig to a drone and catch fish, even from a balcony. Sounds like nonsense, but let's test it. I don't have a drone, but my friend does. I borrowed it, though he didn't like the idea. We tie the rig to the drone and take off. It lifts, but strong gusts of wind immediately push it away. Control is lost and it crashes into the lake. I jump into a boat and go on a rescue mission. Luckily, it got stuck in plants and didn't fully sink. It was making weird noises, full of water. Back on shore, I tried drying it with compressed air, hoping to save it. Power on! There's sound, but no response to the controller. It was a good drone, but it's not flying again. I just hope my friend never finds out. This method gets the maximum score on the stupidity scale. Easy to lose the drone, and you won't land a big fish anyway. What's the craziest method you've ever used to catch fish? Drop it in the comments. Maybe we'll test it next.